horrifying audio and video on my Twitter feed at Chris Krockshow. That's at Chris Krockshow, ChrisKrock. An attempted carjacking thwarted by a man who works for some kind of a utility company, it looks, or construction company, and he pulls out his weapon. He's armed. It appears everything's lawful here, what he's doing as far as, in lawful possession of a firearm. And he stops the carjacking of somebody else. Carjacker then runs into his work truck, gets into it, and is shot at least 4 times, or shot at 4 times, by a man who stopped the carjacking. But this is the thug now getting in his car and didn't drive away just yet. Was in the car, and the man who stopped the carjacking shoots him, and the guy gets away anyways. He reverses the truck out of the area there, and then comes back and runs over. That's the horror you hear, that runs over the man who stopped the carjacking, who shot at him 4 times, who watched his truck be stolen, is then slammed into it 30 or 40 miles an hour intentionally by this thug, who his body goes up like a rag doll, and then it looks like he gets run over immediately within all one motion here. Hit, body goes way up, and then bam, goes down, and then gets ran over, dies. And the question I have for you in this horrific incident that happened in North Carolina, do you think this was a clean shoot? And do you think the man trying to stop his work truck from being carjacked was in the right to shoot the carjacker? 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. And my answer is the lawful producing a weapon to stop the carjacking, the original one, yes, very lawful, very good, and very wise. It's exactly what you have it for. The using it again to stop the man from stealing your truck, yes, very wise. That's what you have it for. But you don't shoot somebody who is not in front of you, that is driving towards you to kill you. Just because they've gotten in your truck, they're closing the door, and they're going to drive away, it appears. You can't shoot somebody for stealing your car. You can shoot somebody, and I'm speaking of Texas law, this happened in North Carolina, but the point is, if this happened here where we live, the point of it is that you can't shoot somebody who's not a threat to you of imminent bodily injury or great bodily injury or immediate death, imminent. So if you're not being threatened seriously, then you can't shoot the person. And stealing a car, watching somebody steal your car that's punishing them. That's not stopping them. Now, if he was the sad and sick and ironic thing is, as the man was trying to run him over, as he was coming at him, if he would have shot him, then absolutely, yes, that's a right to shoot. You can't shoot somebody, though, because they're stealing your car. So I don't wish this man and his family, this deceased man, anything but love and support of his family, but it was a bad shoot. 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. Do you think it was a clean shoot? Do you think the man trying to stop his work truck from being carjacked was right to shoot the man? Vinny in Frisco with a different take, which is good. You're on News Talk 820 WBAP. I should say 820 AM and now 93.3 FM WBAP. Hey, Vinny.
Hey, how's it going?
Great, sir.
Yeah, so first thing you have to understand is it didn't happen in Texas. It happened in another state.
Yeah, I already said that.
Their laws, and I understand. I'm just saying because I'm going to start talking about Texas. In Texas, you absolutely 100% have the right to defend your vehicle with the use of deadly force, because that is an extension of the Castle Doctrine. The Castle Doctrine not only protects your home, it protects your vehicle, and it also protects your personal property. So whether or not, I myself would have done it, probably not. Take my car, I'll file an insurance, I'll make a police report, whatever, that's fine. But you do have a right to and use deadly force in that situation. You're not going to pull your firearm and show it to somebody and hope that they will stop doing what they're doing. That is not what your firearm is for. Your firearm comes out, and when your firearm comes out, you are now using your firearm. You don't just show it to somebody and hope that they stop what's doing.
Unfortunately,
for 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
Unfortunately, you're terribly wrong on that, and the reason why is because the Castle Doctrine is when you're in your home. And hold on, relax. You think you know the answer to what I'm saying, but you're not letting me finish because I'm right. The Castle Doctrine is when you're in your home. And just as it applies to your car in the state of Texas, it applies when you're in your home, meaning your car. He was not in his car. And therefore, stop 1 second. Stop 1 second. Okay, I've let you talk. Now it's my turn to respond, okay? This would be like the castle doctrine is when you're in the car. What you're saying is way back when I thought it means if somebody's stealing your stereo, if you walk outside and there's somebody in your car stealing your stereo, you can shoot them and kill them. That's not at all what it means. If you're not in the car, you cannot shoot somebody who's trying to break into the car or steal your car. And this would be like pulling up in your driveway and seeing somebody in your house who's, burglarizing it or whatever, and just shooting them through the window. You're punishing them. You're killing them for breaking into your house, whereas you're not threatened. So go ahead and respond. And by the way, the reason I know, well, I'll explain why I know this, but you can go ahead and respond to that.
Are you a lawyer?
Yes, actually, and I'm not a lawyer, but hold on. Yes, lawyers who are experts in Texas self-defense gun laws are the ones who told me this on the air on this show. Go ahead, sir.
You don't pull out your firearm to show somebody a firearm. That's just silly right there.
That's your basic misunderstanding of the law as well. It's called, under Texas law, if you produce your firearm to de-escalate a situation where there's a crime going on or to prevent a crime from happening, yes, that's lawful.
Do you carry a firearm?
Of course.
It's a great responsibility.
Of course.
Yes. And if you're going to draw
Are you
your
an
firearm,
attorney, sir?
I am not an attorney.
Okay. I've had multiple attorneys on this show, on the air, who actually do this for a living. They're Second Amendment law experts for Texas, and they've written books on my show, and that's who's taught me. That's why I'm so confident about it.
You know, if that happened in Texas, that's a clean sheet.
Nope. So here's my prayer for you, sir.
Well, the problem
here's
is
my
it's a vehicle.
Here's my prayer for you, and I mean this. If you do what you're describing, I pray you don't go to jail, because you will, according to everything the experts have told me.
I'd file an insurance claim.
And let me tell you something else. You are punishing that person. You're saying, you are trying to steal my truck. I'm going to punish you. I am the judge and the jury, and I'm the executioner, and you are sentenced to death for stealing my car.
Yeah, and you notice I caveated my initial statement with, I'm going to let the guy move along.
Thank you for your call. Appreciate it very much. That's a very serious problem. And I love these stories because I love to empower you and teach you what you need to know. Let me give you another example. And this was from this is basic Texas law. This is not even difficult. So I really do hope that man never does what he's talking about, because he has a fundamental, total misunderstanding of how Texas law works in self-defense with your firearm. This is how bad that thought is, as far as an opinion, how wrong it is, I should say. Not bad, but how wrong it is. Ready? You will go to jail if you listen to what this man says. The other thing is, this is extremely basic, in my concealed carry license classes, okay? In my concealed carry classes, the state of Texas and this outfit played a video to show you scenarios of when not to use deadly force. And the one they mentioned that I'm thinking of in this case is, you're in your apartment complex, just say you're in this apartment complex, you're in the public area, the common area, and you're in the common area, you're getting your mail. That area there, that little area where the door is unlocked possibly, and you're in the common area there, they come in, hold you at gunpoint, and steal your wallet. And then they run. Can you shoot them as they have turned and are running away to get away with stealing your wallet? No, you will go to jail, because while they're in the process of robbing you, which is a crime and a felony, you're shooting them in the back as they're running away. You're punishing them. You will go to jail for murder. And the same thing as if somebody is stealing your lawnmower outside at night. Don't go outside. Call 911. But if you go out there and you shoot them as they've turned to run, you're going to jail for executing them, for murdering them. So here's how it works. You de-escalate when you produce your firearm. You de-escalate. That's lawful. But you don't shoot unless you are in imminent danger of great bodily harm, injury, or death in that situation. You really want to err on the side of caution. Don't do it unless it's insanely obvious, or you will get in big trouble. And you better have a lawyer. You better have a program you're a part of, like I am, to defend you and such. I even checked the other day, make sure I'm up to date on my subscription. But so I got it all from experts who wrote a book on it, and I've got the book at home. So here's the thing, though. Castle doctrine means you are inside of the castle. You can't shoot somebody when you're outside of the castle and they're in your castle. There's not a threat. Okay? So the other thing I'll say before we go is what these same experts I've told you about who are on my air as attorneys who are experts in Texas law for self-defense and Second Amendment is when you are in your house or when you're at a mall or when you're at work, okay? If somebody approaches you, you want to get in your car. Get in the car. If you get in the car and close that door and lock it, and then you have to use your firearm, you are now in your house. Castle Doctrine applies to you. Get in that car before you do anything machismo if you can. That's what they also taught me, and that's why this guy was wrong to shoot him if it were Texas. Now, coming up next in the Chris Crock Show, and if you want to react to that, you think I'm wrong, that'd be great, but or why you think maybe a guy's right, 800-288-WBAP, 800-288-9227. That's why I'm so passionate about these kinds of issues. Number two, I want to say, coming up next, this walkout at Wilmer Hutchins High School in Dallas ISD, where a shooting was last week, because they're concerned about safety. We're going to talk about if metal detectors, clear backpacks, if you want that at your child's school, if you think that actually helps. That's next on the Chris Crock Show. 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227 on News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. All right, so Wilmer Hutchins High School in Dallas ISD, as you know, I'm sure you saw, there was a school shooting. Anytime there is anything like that in the Metroplex, all of us, all the news media reports it, whether it's a threat beyond what it was or not, doesn't matter. Every parent's eyes and ears perk up. So today, in response to that, by the way, it was somebody at the school shooting another person at the school in the thigh, and apparently it was just I hate when they say it's an isolated incident, like, oh, it's not a big deal, sweep it under the rug. But apparently it was an incident that is not going to a threat any longer, and it may have I don't know what the specifics of it is, but one person, that was it. Now, today students walked out. They did a protest walking out because they don't feel safe. Now, this would be one I actually am hard-pressed to be in disagreement with the kids if they really don't feel safe with walking out or whatever. It's not like a political protest. Although it was! It was, now that I'm remembering watching this on WFA TV channel, because you see some of the signs. They were like anti-gun type signs. I'm like, okay, you're an activist. So actually, let me strike that down and back. Kind of remembering what I watched last night because it was from the coverage, and I'm like, wait a minute. And you know what? No, I can't say if any of them were non-political, because the ones I did see were a couple of them. But students walked out, and they say that the shooting has not been substantially addressed. It was like they brushed over it, says one guy. One of the students. We have whole metal detectors. We have wands, but now they want to finally use them after something bad happens. It's sad they don't want us to be heard, said another student. They have all these administrators. This is from the Dallas Morning News coverage. They have all these administrators, all these people we don't know, standing in the hallways trying to make us feel better, trying to make us feel safe. It's not doing anything at all. So here's the thing. I'm asking you directly on this. Do you think that metal detectors and clear backpacks, do you think they actually stop school shootings? Do you think if you had metal detectors and clear backpacks at your child's school, which they have at Wilmer Hutchins, that it would somehow stop a shooter? Do you think it's a reasonable thing to do that has a reasonable chance of stopping somebody from bringing a gun in? 800-288-WBAP or getting caught with a gun or any kind of a weapon. 800-288-WBAP. 800-288-9227 is our number. And I say absolutely not. It is a waste. Number one, actually most importantly, it is a waste. It will not stop the threat. I repeat, having metal detectors, metal wands, waving wands, like they do at the airport or whatever, will not stop the threat. It will not stop somebody from bringing a gun on campus. It will not stop somebody from bringing a knife on campus. Number two, neither will clear backpacks. From my memory on this, because there was a huge story about this, and they interviewed on WFA TV Channel 8. It was huge. I talked about it a long time ago when it happened, like 6 months ago, 3 months ago. I can't remember. But you had the former DISD school chief, who was police chief. So he wasn't Dallas police chief, but former DISD school police chief, and he's now one of these professional full-time experts that goes all over the country training and teaching people about how to defend in school districts as an expert, how to defend yourself. He said metal detectors are worthless and useless. Another guy who is a researcher from a university, like one of those types, who definitely is anti-gun, I'm sure of that, said they don't work. Their research shows they don't work. Metal detectors and wands and all that stuff, it'll make you feel like you're in a prison, but it doesn't work. Because think of it how easy it is. Look, I crawled out of a freaking window in Spanish class one time when I was in high school and didn't get caught. I went into the courtyard, acted like a fool, went around the school, went all over the place, then came back in and snuck. I can't remember if I snuck back in or just whatever, but I got away with it. I didn't get in trouble. If I can do that at 15, which is roughly what I was at the time, how could somebody not get a gun and just put it outside, climb out of the window, get it, and go back in and shoot them all up? There's always a way. And metal detectors are actually, they will cause more risk because you have a false sense of security. Number 2, having your kids searched as they come in is also pathetic. Make them feel like a prison, it won't stop it. And number 3, clear backpacks, I also think, could be wrong on my recollection of this, but I thought it was the same thing. It really doesn't do much. From those 2 experts that were on WFAA some time ago. The clear backpack might at least be something, if I recall, but I still am like, whatever. This is stupid. You're going to feel like you're in a prison. So they want things to make them feel like in a prison. That's what's sad. They want to be feeling like they're in a prison, and they'll feel safe on it, but it won't be any safer. Do you want metal detectors and clear backpacks on your child's campus, wherever you may be? Frisco, Waxahachie, Denton, what have you. South Lake. Do you want metal detectors and clear backpacks? 800-288-9227 is our number. 800-288-WBAP. They actually think they'll do something. 800-288-WBAP. Coming up next, your call on that, but then also Alec Baldwin's Rust Armor. Wow. Sentenced to the maximum time allowed. 1.5 years in jail, weeping. You're going to hear some audio from that, and then I'm going to talk to you. Do you think Alec Baldwin should also be punished with jail time similar to her sentencing? And do you think he's just as guilty? I have a lot to say about that next on the Chris Crock Show. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Make that a preset. 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227 on the Chris Crock Show. Hey, I did promise at 10:30 also to get into this story. Idaho mom, 85-year-old woman who is a man breaks into her home while she's in there, and this 39-year-old man who's accused of doing all this, Derek Condon, enters her home. This 85-year-old shares with her disabled son. So he enters the home at 2 a.m. The woman was, 85-year-old woman was dressed in a military jacket, black ski mask. Wait, the man was, excuse me. The man was dressed in a military jacket, black ski mask, pointing a gun and a flashlight. He then placed her in handcuffs, took her into the living room of her home, where he took her at gunpoint and handcuffed her to a wooden chair. He demanded to know where the valuables were kept, Fox News reports. He placed his pistol on her head. She told him, "I don't have much." She then told the home intruder about 2 safes downstairs. He left her handcuffed in the living room while he went to rummage through the house. He became angry when he found out that her son was in the home, and she didn't tell him. Made numerous threats to her. At one point, while he was downstairs, she drugged the chair she was handcuffed to in her bedroom, retrieved her .357 Magnum revolver from under her pillow. God bless Granny. She then went back into the living room, hid her revolver between the armrest and the cushion of a couch next to where she was seated, waited to be seen what he did next. Well, her memory is a little unclear, but she basically said at some point she made the decision, it's now or never, drew her gun and shot him twice. 85-year-old woman shot this 39-year-old terrorist home invader, and he returned fire. Isn't that interesting? Emptied a 9mm pistol into her, striking her multiple times, abdomen, leg, arms, and chest. Wow! He then went into the other room in the kitchen, died from his wounds. Holy cow. She fell to the floor while handcuffed, and 10 hours later, her son found her and gave her a phone to call 911. Oh my gosh, isn't that crazy? So, he had on his person, the police say, a lockpick set, his car key, handcuff key, bag containing items he had stolen from the residence. Holy gosh! Police said it's easily an analysis to determine it's self-defense and justifiable homicide. Her grit, determination, and will to live appear to be what saved her that night. Well, thank God for Thank God for their great equalizer, firearms. 85-year-old woman took out a 39-year-old man, thug, who was going to kill her possibly. Amazing. Now, folks, we had a guy earlier this hour that said, Castle Doctrine. That, my friends, is the Castle Doctrine, and you are being threatened with great imminent bodily injury or harm or death. So she did not go up to her house while he was in and she was out and shoot him through the window. Okay. Alec, speaking of firearms and shooting and such, Alec Baldwin has got to be crapping in his pants today. Don't you think so, Producer Garrett? If you were Alec Baldwin, wouldn't you be like, holy crap, you're having like as existential, he knows he's not going to get killed here, but existential crisis today when he saw that the jurors in New Mexico today gave the armor bearer, Hannah Gutierrez, the complete, full, highest punishment they could, sentenced to 18 months in jail today.
I'm sentencing you to 18 months of incarceration at a New Mexico women's correctional facility. I find that what you did constitutes a serious violent offense. It was committed in a physically violent manner, a fatal gunshot done with your recklessness in the face of knowledge that your acts were reasonably likely to result in serious harm. You were the armorer, the one that stood between a safe weapon and a weapon that could kill someone. You alone turned a safe weapon into a lethal weapon. But for you, Miss Hutchins would be alive, a husband would have his partner, and a little boy would have his mother.
Wow. Powerful, isn't it? Do you know, I read today in the story covering this on Fox News that there was cocaine that she is accused of bringing on the set, Hannah Gutierrez. Wow. Isn't that crazy? That is unbelievable. Something about a bag of cocaine on the set involving her in some way. I did not know that until today in the Fox News coverage. But here's my question for you on this. And by the way, the Daily Mail described it as armor bearer Helena Hutchins sobs as she's sentenced to 18 months in prison for voluntary manslaughter, death of cinematographer Helena Hutchins. And that is the maximum allowed. So they sent her the max, and she will be in jail for a year and a half. Now, oh my gosh, look at this. The judge said, your attorney had to tell the court you were remorseful. What do you think this judge, if it's the same judge and the same type of a jury, what do you think they're going to say and do about Alec Baldwin, who never has shown remorse for what he did? Has he? Producer Garrett, have you ever seen Alec Baldwin show remorse for what he did, other than denying he did it and saying he's innocent? Right. In fact, yeah, he's always played the victim because that's what a good elitist, leftist, rich movie star does. It's all about me. He's never admitted culpability. He's never apologized for his actions. And here's the thing. Do you think Alec Baldwin should also be punished with jail time similar to her sentence? Do you think he's just as guilty? That's my question for you. At 800-288-WBAP, 800-288-9227, lines wide open. Do you think Alec Baldwin should also be punished with jail time similar to the armor bearer, Helena Hutchins today? Not Helena Hutchins, she's the victim. The armor bearer, Hannah Gutierrez. Do you think he should get punished with the same type of jail sentence? Do you think he's just as guilty? 800-288-WBAP, 800-288-9227. I do, and I do. Do you understand that Alec Baldwin was the executive producer? He was the one that decided what happened. He was the one that got the financing. He was the one that made the hiring decisions, the final hiring decisions. He was the one that set the tone for this whole set and the safety. Many of these people that worked there behind the scenes walked off the set because of no safety. It was so bad they left. And he picked Hannah Gutierrez, the one who got sentenced to 18 months. He picked her. He had confidence in her. He cut the corners. He made that set risky. He allowed it to go where they're shooting live bullets supposedly and this and that, and it was a completely unsafe thing. Alec Baldwin was ultimately responsible for hiring her and creating the scene that killed somebody. And he's also responsible for pulling the trigger, even though to this day he denies he ever did. So that's why I think he should be going to jail, and that's why I do think he's just as guilty. And not of the exact same thing, but of being the major factor. None of this would have happened if it wasn't for Alec Baldwin. And he was the one that pulled the trigger. And he was the one that was responsible for the whole set and for hiring her and for allowing it to be unsafe. Therefore, he must go to jail. And I think it should be for a similar amount of time. And I'm not saying it's because he's a leftist. I'm not saying it's because he's a rich movie star. I'm not saying because I don't like the guy. I still think he's an amazing talent. But the point is, he's guilty too. If she's guilty, he's guilty. Based on the fact of how he was responsible for hiring her, allowing the set to be that way. It's on him. 800-288-WBAP is our number. 800-288-9227. Do you think Alec Baldwin should also be punished with jail time similar to her sentence, and do you think he's just as guilty? 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. Man, I have so much stuff to talk about coming up next, including how somebody was wronged at a Walmart bakery and is furious, and why they're furious. This happened not too far away from where I grew up. I'll tell you the whole story coming up next on the Chris Crock Show on News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Make it a preset, 800-288-9227. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Make it a preset, 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. Well, she finally surfaces after being in hiatus for some time, in hibernation as a caller. Here she is, the lovely and wonderful Miss Monique has called in, and you can too if you think what I think, or you don't. That's fine. Alec Baldwin, do you think he should be punished with jail time similar to the armor bearer today who was sentenced for Hannah Gutierrez for, basically being responsible directly, it seems, for the murder of Helena Hutchins, or the death? And then do you think that Alec Baldwin's just as guilty? And my position is simply yes. He was in charge of hiring her. He was in charge of the conditions on the set. He was the executive producer. And what he did, which is what happens a lot, is he was the only name actor in there. The rest were non-name actors. So he makes his money by doing double jobs, executive producer / actor, and then he makes they don't make as much. And he cuts corners, which happens in these things, but he cut corners and safety, and somebody's dead because of it. So I say absolutely yes, plus he pulled the trigger, and he's lied, never showed any remorse. Most importantly, though, he actually did it physically with the trigger, and even more importantly, he was in charge of everything there on the set. and when it goes to him, his responsibility. So yes, he should get some similar type of sentencing. 800-288-WBAP, 800-288-9227. And here she is, Miss Monique Fort Worth. You're on News Talk 820 WBAP and now FM 93.3. Hello.
Hello there, friend.
Good to talk to you. Long time no speak.
Yes. Well, since you put it like that, I kind of rethought about what I was going to say.
Mm-hmm.
But at first I was thinking that, okay, since we're not liberal, like we don't look for the people
right.
and then devise up a crime.
Right.
And I was thinking that, since he liberal and I really don't like him because he hates Trump.
Yes.
I would love to see him, go to jail. But that's not how we work. So I was thinking that, like, I felt like her as the weapons person.
Yes, she
should have known better.
Oh yeah,
and like him as a producer, maybe he could have checked it or whatever. But as an issue, he was putting on too many hats at one time, and apparently he couldn't hold them all. So maybe he should share some blame. But I don't feel like he intentionally killed that girl. I think it was an accident.
Right.
And I feel like that girl, the weapons person, got what she needed.
Right.
Because she was the issue.
Wasn't it surprising, though? Wasn't it surprising that she actually got a year and a half in jail, like from how we were expecting this to play out, honestly?
Yeah, well, I don't think it was surprising. I think what's surprising is what they doing to my president. But
oh yes,
that's a different story.
Yes.
But yes, okay, maybe that was surprising in that sense. But they felt like they needed to get somebody for this, and I feel like they do too. And I just don't feel like it should be so much on Alec Baldwin because he felt that the gun was safe. It was handed to him in a safe manner, like he was under the understanding that the gun was non-fireable or whatever the word is.
But he did pull the trigger, and to this day he lies.
And on that
issue,
by the way,
that's according to the FBI analysis.
I was going to get to that.
And they're independent. and they're independent experts. Yeah.
Okay. So when they talk about that, when they talk about he was doing them interviews and stuff like that, and saying that he didn't pull the trigger and everything. I can speak to that mindset because I feel like I used to be a criminal. Now I was a thief, nothing major. I was just a thief, and when I was stealing and I would get caught. Like I knew I did it, but like the fear in me, because I was very young then. The fear in me, like every time somebody asks a question, no, I didn't do it. Like I didn't do it. Like it's not that he was trying to hide from it. It's like that. He felt like it was an accident, so he really didn't want to get in trouble for it. And I kind of understood where he was at that point, saying that, okay, I didn't pull. We know he pulled the trigger because
that's the
trigger
point.
Ain't pull itself.
That's exactly right. And this particular double action Colt had to be pulled, and the analysis of it, as you know, from the FBI and from a renowned expert that was brought in on this, they both confirmed that this thing was pulled. You could not, the trigger can't go on its own, and the hammer can't come down on its own. There has to be direct action on it. Now, the other thing is, though, as far as the executive producer, that is a major reason for this, and him not stopping her and not changing the environment of the set that was so unsafe. He allowed it, and he never stopped it. He is responsible for, as the executive producer, he's in charge of the whole thing. Like, he literally is in charge of the entire thing. The budget, who is hired, the conditions at the set, everything. So that's why he is responsible, because he literally made this happen with his environment and made it likely to happen, and he kept her in the position, and he didn't change the conditions, and he was on the set all the time as a lead actor because he was in charge of it. So it was his decision to keep it that way. And remember, the workers walked off, too. Remember that? They walked off and left. Go ahead, because it was so unsafe.
And then you said something else that caught my attention, too. When you talk about that booger sugar, you said it was cocaine, but, in the hood, we call it booger sugar.
That's funny.
So I wonder if they did a drug test on him.
That's a good thing to think about, too. But do you see how he's responsible, too, truthfully, because of the fact?
Yes, because he was producer and all that. And
he could have fired her. He could have fired her when the people walked off. He could have investigated, stopped everything. He was the reason that the set was that bad and never got better.
Yeah, I see that.
Okay, so are you with me on some jail time for the guy?
I am.
Okay.
I'm with you. I just don't think it should be as much as hers.
That, if it's 6 months or 3 months or 6 months or so, to show that you can't let this or you're going to go to jail, and you're actually you're responsible for it ultimately. Yeah. So Monique, don't call as infrequently as you are. You must call in more because you're a favorite caller of mine and this show's.
Okay, I just be working, and when I get off work, I'm just catching the end of your show.
You got it. All good. I'll take anything I can get from you. Every morsel is important. And remember, you're even more of a criminal for being a Trump voter and Trump supporter. You're more of a criminal than any other crime you've ever committed. Remember that.
Yeah, and you know what? I did. I don't know if I told you about this, but I had tried to get a pardon from the governor, right?
Yeah.
And, okay, so to get a pardon, they got to go through the Board of Pardons and Paroles. Them folks denied me, and all I had was misdemeanors that turned into felonies.
Have you reached out to your state representative, your state senator, and your United States congressman? I would.
I did at that time.
I would do it again.
I did. I do follow Kim Paxton. Kim Paxton follows me on Twitter.
Yeah, and, go for it. I got to roll, but I would go for it, and also go for Cruz's office. Go for all the U.S. senators and all the the U.S. congressman that reps your area that you live in, and then go do it. You do it again. Don't lose hope. You're going to get there. I promise. I do think so, truthfully. And Monique, we'll be praying for you on that. I appreciate you very much. Got to roll. Okay, hugs.
All right. Bye.
Bye.